Hey, what is up, guys and gals? Julian RH15 here, and today I'll be comparing my Daredevil concept I made earlier this year to the Daredevil we have in Marvel Rivals. Someone left a comment on my video where they commented, Daredevil drops in 4 hours and bro called his whole kit a year ago. So I rewatched my video and I realized he's not far off. So let's get into their Daredevil comparison from concept to the final version that we have in today's game. So both versions of Daredevil is a duelist. Now let's compare both versions of the Devil in Hell's Kitchen. Daredevil has two passives: Radar Sense, detect enemy movements within a set radius; Blind Descent, cling to walls and spring off of them to reposition. Now let's take a look of my concept for Daredevil passives. His passive is called Sensory Overload. I've been tweaking this passive for a while because I try to figure out like what to do with Daredevil, because remember, he's blind, right? I made some stupid concept a while ago before I actually like finalized this concept where it's like you can see certain sounds in the environment, but I'm like, that's just gonna get too messy. If you want to have lower accurate Daredevil, go ahead. But I made his passive where it's like it could fit to the game and it makes sense, I guess. So Daredevil will have a continuous enemy reveal ability every 30 seconds in the round/game. This has a radius of 45 meters, plus any damage Daredevil deals to an enemy. If any enemy goes behind cover, they are highlighted red. Any revealed passive ability from Daredevil lasts for 1.5 seconds. This passive will only be revealed to Daredevil and other duelists. This doesn't go for the whole team. Only for other duelists out there. That's why I said earlier that he pairs up with other duelists really well, because he combos with all of them. Now with Invisible Woman in the game and the Loki ability where he turns invisible, I don't know how that's going to work. It might be a big counter to the Daredevil passive, which would be a cool idea. Actually, no, it won't work, because if they're invisible, Daredevil can still feel their heartbeat. So now, no, actually, Sensory Overload is a counter to the invisible stuff. So that's actually pretty cool now that I'm thinking about it. So yeah, both my concept and the final version that we have of Daredevil in Marvel Rivals basically have the same passives where you can see people through walls and see their heartbeats or just outlines in general. And that's also including people who can turn invisible, like Invisible Woman in Loki. Daredevil counters anything that can go invisible. The major difference with my passive and the one that we have in game already is that I didn't take into account that Daredevil will actually be somewhat blind in the final version of the game. For him getting constant pings every like 3 seconds makes more sense, because you can't see everything on the map. And mine was 30 seconds because I thought you could just see everything, but they made Daredevil lore accurate, so I give him credit for that. Now let's compare primary attacks. Daredevil really has only one primary attack in my opinion, and that is just his jab, where he swings his billy club forward and will gain a fury on hit, and this is a 4-hit animation combo. Now let's take a look at my primary attack for my concept for Daredevil. Starting off with his primary fire, Baton Combat. Baton Combat will be the same as his melee attack. The batons will have a mid-range melee attack and the attacks are very quick. His secondary fire is Baton Toss. Throw 2 batons at a fast rate. Batons will always come back to Daredevil. There's no reload. And let's say the cast out time is like 0.7 seconds. These will mainly be used to finish off eliminations, because the time where you throw your batons, you will become completely vulnerable. So yes, I made Daredevil a melee, close to mid-range character. Because what I noticed with Marvel Rivals is that if you have a very close range character, you have to put in a lot of work to get that elimination. And it's not that fun, because sometimes it just does nothing. So I thought maybe we can make Daredevil a mix between close to mid-range. So yeah, both versions has a mid-range melee attack. Now, the secondary fire, where the concept I made where you throw the billy clubs, is tied to a different ability. So we'll get to that soon. But yeah, basically his primary fire is basically the same. He's he's actually really close range melee fighter. Now that I'm playing more Daredevil, so I made my mid-range. He's more close range. He's like super close range melee fighter. He has a 4-hit combo with his animation. Mine, I think I said it was like 2 to 3 hits. I can't remember what I said. But it's pretty much the same thing for the normal primary attack. Now for this next part, we're going to focus on all of his abilities all at once. His first ability is called Devil's Latch, fire grappling line that reels Daredevil and his target toward each other. On completion, gain Fury and temporarily enables Righteous Cross. His first ability is called Fearless Leap. Perform a leap forward, backwards, or to either the left or right side. If the ability is held down and let go in the air, Daredevil will hang from the skies and will allow for another Fearless Leap. The second Fearless Leap used will have a longer cooldown and can access another Fearless Leap. The normal cooldown has a 6-second cooldown, and if you use Fearless Leap in the air again, that is a 8-second cooldown. This is good to try to pick off those flying characters like Iron Man, Storm. Because Iron Fist has the triple jump, Daredevil will have the Fearless Leap to catch up with these flying characters. It's also good to get out of dodge. Let's say you're beating somebody up, they're actually getting more damage on you. You Fearless Leap and counter to any direction you want to. It gives Daredevil options and also room to rethink his attack. His second ability is called Eternal Fury. Consume Fury to unleash either Devil's Chain or Devil's Throw. Devil's Chain converts damage dealt in bonus health. Devil's Throw slows hit targets, both temporarily enable Righteous Cross. His second ability is called Weak Point, a stationary melee attack where it covers a large distance and can hit multiple enemies. Enemies who are hit suffer from a speed decrease and a reduction of healing. This move can be performed in the air and it will also act as an anti-air. This has a 10-second cooldown. So what do I mean by anti-air? Just like Invisible Woman's like little ball electric thing force that she has, that can, you know, if a flying character is near it, it goes to the ground. Or there's another one. I think Hawkeye has something. And also like Hawkeye's one special arrow, that's like that wind arrow, whatever it's called. That's also an anti-air where if it connects to an enemy, they fall to the ground. And I've also noticed flying characters are getting pretty strong now. So anything to counter that is probably for the best. And the reason why this is the longest cooldown is because it could hit multiple enemies. There's no like limit to how many enemies it can hit. It's just whoever's in the area will get these effects. His next ability is called Sonic Pursuit. Lock onto a target, gaining increased speed and damage reduction when attacked. While in range, dash to the target, blinding them and restore Fury. His third ability is called Dive Kick. This ability only unlocks if Daredevil is off the ground in any way. Lock on Dive Kick any enemy. If any other enemy is close enough to the enemies in a 5-meter radius, then Dive Kick could be performed again. You can't dive kick the same enemy twice. Dive kick also grants 100 temporary shields on the first hit. Any other chained hits will grant 50 temporary shields. This will have a 6-second cooldown. If other enemies are hit, it will have a 9-second cooldown. So in the comics, Daredevil likes to fight basically everyone for some reason. So I based his kit around trying to fight everybody at once, basically. This goes for Weak Point and Dive Kick. And what's cool about Dive Kick, I always wanted to do a Dive Kick type of move for other characters when I make other concepts. It felt like it fit really good with Daredevil's kit. And the temp shield, I don't know how long the temp shield will last for. That just, you know, varies depending on how crazy it is. But like I said, this is a concept video. Let's just say his first hit gets 100 temp shield and his other consecutive hits will get 50 temp shields. And we probably have a cap at one point, but I didn't think about like the cap temp shields he could get. So that's why his health is based around like 275. But yeah, he's a fast moving duelist that can deal a lot of damage if you let him get that close to you. And Daredevil does have some dive potential. It's not the best like ever. It's similar to Captain America's where it's like, I mean, he dives on you, but he doesn't really like kill you. Daredevil is the opposite. He could kill you if he wants to. His fourth ability is called Objection. Whirl billy clubs in a tight guard to block frontal damage and reflect projectiles, becoming immune to all incoming harm during this stance and gain Fury. And there is a fourth ability called No Bullseye. Daredevil quickly moves in a stationary position, dodging any ability / primary projectiles for 3 seconds and could be canceled out of it. This has a 15-second cooldown, so I lied. This is actually the longest cooldown, my bad. So think of it like a Star-Lord leap, but it's stationary and you have 3 seconds to dodge anything. This includes ultimates too. I want to let that be clear. It could dodge an ultimate if timed perfectly, but it also depends on the ultimate. Because I don't think you should dodge a Scarlet Witch like bomb, right? But I feel like you could dodge like a Star-Lord ult. You get what I'm saying? Like you can dodge Punisher's ult because something needs to counter that thing. Jesus Christ. But you can't dodge like a Magneto metal ball to your face, right? So there is a lot of similarities between my concept I made for Daredevil and the Daredevil we have currently in Marvel Rivals. So Fearless Leap is his go-to movement ability in his kit. He has multiple movement abilities, but this one's like his main one. The one we have in Rivals, Devil's Latch is really his only movement ability besides tying his Sonic Pursuit and his secondary primary as like kind of quick dashes, but his real movement comes with Devil's Latch, and that's already a long cooldown. And Devil's Latch is more for engaging in the battle than getting away. Depending how you play Daredevil, Devil's Latch is a good way to engage, but it's probably better if you use it to disengage in the combat because of his other abilities tied in to his other offensive moves. But Devil's Latch is his best utility for getting away, just like my first ability, Fearless Leap. Moving on to the second ability, Weak Point, and then the one we have in Rivals, Eternal Fury. I made Weak Point a hard-hitting attack that can slow down enemies, and the one we have in Rivals is a stance ability where you can choose to slow down enemies or get shields. It gives you the option to do long-range attack or a pretty medium to short-range attack. Weak Point that I made is a medium range attack where you can slow the enemies and then push in. But with Eternal Fury, it's also tied in with his passive or just his kit in general where he builds up Fury, where you keep damaging enemies to gain something called Fury, and it's tied into this move. It's basically infinite. There's not really a cooldown. You just have to get enough Fury, just like Thor's Thor Force, to use his ability. In my case, all of Daredevil's abilities in my concept are all cooldowns and not a separate ammo or essence collectability. And Daredevil's Baton Throw is tied into my secondary primary attack, where the one we have in Rivals is tied to only this ability. His third ability, Dive Kick, is a lock-on ability, just like what we have in Rivals, Sonic Pursuit. It's a lock-on ability where it gives buffs to Daredevil, where in my case, Dive Kick also gives buffs to Daredevil, but only when it connects to a hit. The one we have in Rivals gives extra abilities, damage reduction, speed, and blinding. Mine only gives shields. For the fourth ability, No Bullseye, and the one we have in the game already called Objection, is probably the most similar out of both my concept and the one we have in Rivals. Rivals had added a damage reflection to the projectiles. I only added negating damage. I don't think I put reflecting to his No Bullseye ability, because I believe it's longer and it's not just the front, it's also the back that you can protect too. When in case in Rivals, it's only the front you're protecting and not your back. But the plus side for Rivals, it can basically negate mostly everything in the game, where when I said for my concept, it probably can't deflect a Magneto ultimate because that's a little too broken then. But Rivals, oh, they said, no, this is broken. You just have to hit him from the back to do any damage to him when he's using this ability. And I think his ability lasts for like 3 to 4 seconds, where mine only lasts for like a 0.5, I think. So yeah, it's pretty scary how close both my concept and the one we have in Rivals is. Like, there's moments where it differs, but it goes into a different ability thing. Like, I thought they were gonna lean towards acrobatic Daredevil. They lean in toward demon Daredevil or devil power Daredevil, which he had like a little run with that in the comics, and they used that for basically his entire kit. I like the one we have in Rivals. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything. I actually do like the more comic inspiration route they went with for Daredevil. I just prefer the more classic Daredevil where he's more acrobatic and it will still engage the same way as the one we have in Rivals, just differently. But I still think they translated Daredevil quite well in this game, and I'm definitely picked him up as a main for Marvel Rivals on my console account, not so much on PC. I feel better with him on console. But there's one more thing to compare, and that is his ultimate. His ultimate in Marvel Rivals is called Let the Devil Out. Embrace the beast within. Enemies in Daredevil's line of sight take damage and suffer a ramping blind effect, continually gain fury while active. Let's get to his ultimate. His ultimate I had a lot of trouble with. I can't lie. I was trying to figure out how can I fit an ultimate to Daredevil's like character and kit that could work. So his ultimate is called Devil's Reign. Daredevil locks down enemies in a boxing ring, including anyone flying within a 30-meter radius. If enemies leave the square, they suffer from anti-heals and decreased movement speed for a duration of the ultimate. Teammates can enter the square. Daredevil in the square will have quicker cooldowns and faster melee and projectile speed, plus 300 temporary shields. The ult lasts for 8 seconds. If Daredevil is KO'd, all effects disappear. So I believe Daredevil's father was a boxer, if I remember correctly. Hopefully it's not just a show that has his origin. I think it's also in the comics. And I wanted to implement something that would have been kind of cool with that, because Daredevil basically is also a boxer, I believe. Or he has like a boxer fighting style for most of his stories, not just like aerial baton combat stuff. He does also have a boxing background. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to have like an enchanted boxing like atmosphere with his ult. I think artistically it'll look pretty cool, but gameplay wise I don't know how this would work, honestly. It is a lockdown ability, so think of like Mauga in Overwatch 2 where he locks you down. It's something similar to that, but it's not like a full lockdown ability. It's just like an effect ring, right? Because if you exit the ring, you get all this like negative effects, so you're trying to stay in the ring and survive. There's a lot of stuff that can counter this ultimate, don't get me wrong, like the cloak and dagger, the invisible woman thing, and basically almost every strategist ult in the game. Now, what happens if there's another Daredevil on the other team and they pop ult, like, you know, the same ult at the same time? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what would happen. I don't know if they like counteract each other or something. I think they'll just have both effects active. So I think that if actually that's kind of cool. If there's two Daredevil ults, then the whole team is like basically focused in like this one little small area, and like whoever lives is like basically the winner. I think that'd be kind of cool, actually. Have like a mini war inside like the small box. It's kind of cool. Yeah, both my concept and the one we have in Rivals are pretty similar, that it's an effect ult ring in a way. Just mine has the opposite effect than the one we have in Rivals right now, because mine was more like you have to get in this box, or if you get caught in the box, stay in it to fight Daredevil. Where in Rivals, it's better if you escape the ring, because you will be blinded and take damage over time. So it works the opposite way, but still has the same idea as like it's an effect ring, and if you're closer to Daredevil, you're kind of screwed. So yeah, there's a lot of good comparisons with my Daredevil that I made and the one in Rivals. I still think the one in Rivals translated pretty well, in my opinion, for, you know, how the character Daredevil is. Of course, there is some new elements that they added to him where he has, you know, devil powers, which I'm all fine with. Hey, he has to fight the Hulk, Thor, so they had to buff him up a little bit to make him more than just Daredevil, which is understandable. Anyways, that'll be it of today's video. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys want these videos early, become a member today for Peaceful People. I think it's less than $1. Leave a like, subscribe for more. Peace, you peaceful people, and goodbye.